time.
The boys are back. That's right, Florida Man Sports is here with another exciting episode. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. This is Florida Man Sports.
Ladies and gents, I implore you, Florida Man football is back.
You implore.
Let's go. Always Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and your favorite station, streaming on all your major platforms. Please do like, share, and subscribe.
It's your $5 word that I'm sure was
Let's
incorrect.
go. And folks, I want to thank you guys for the new followers. Thank you so much. Thank you for the new likes. Thank you for the comments. And we're just excited as you are to get the NFL season going. In this episode, Jonny Cinco, we are going to talk NFL first as always, but we are going to touch up a little bit on college football because we have to. But let's start first with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jonny Cinco.
Okay.
The top of the headline, which I'm not very happy about, but it is what it is.
Do you implore?
Yes.
Okay.
Is Jason Light's recent interview to The Athletic, basically pooping, for a better word, all over Devin White, and basically, long story short, saying, if I knew what I had known before, I would have never drafted him. And I knew that this was, in other words, backpedaling, but saying that, hey, I knew this was what it was, and I did it anyway, and, I wish I wouldn't have done it.
You talking about Rashad White?
No, White,
Okay.
or the linebacker.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So my question to you is this. Are you okay with the interview? I mean,
No, you never want to do something like that. It's ridiculous. No matter what your feelings are, look at the same thing that happened in NBA with Phil Jackson goes and writes a book and he kind of dogged Kobe. Yeah, he was right on a couple things, but it's just stupid to do it. You're still the head coach of that particular player. In this case, you're the GM of the team. Be professional. You should know better. Even if you knew you made that mistake, even if you see it as a mistake, why the heck would you make an interview and talk and say this? That's just bad business. That's just stupidity. Like teams are going to look at that. I mean, any free agents or something, potential free agents are going to look at something like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing for a guy that's going to bash me, on a newspaper or the magazine. So it doesn't make any sense to me, Chris, why the heck he would do something. I think this guy was having a few beers like we are, and then just kind of was like, this one had diarrhea of the mouth and said some things that he probably regrets. Has he made any comments saying like, hey, my bad, backpedaled at all?
He hasn't. And to me, there's like a couple ways I think about this. One, you're kicking a man when he's down, right? Because, he went from Philadelphia. He went to other teams, talking about Devin White. And you know what? He's the guy that ultimately, he was part of that Super Bowl winning team. You won a championship when he was your starting linebacker, one of your linebackers, middle linebacker. So, you give credit when it's due. Instead of doing that, I expect better from Jason Light. I always hail him, and this, as like one of the best GMs in all of football.
You're in love with him.
To me, exactly. And so to me, Jason Light, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. I don't know what The Athletic paid you for you to, say those type of comments. But at the end of the day, don't kick a man while he's down. To your point, actually, I do agree with you. A lot of people could look at that and go, do you really want to be a part of that type of organization? I don't agree with it. And you know what? If it was what it was, instead what I would have liked to have heard from him was, yeah, I made the call. Maybe I made a bad call, but guess what? It's on me. I saw everything, right? I saw the analytics. And I made a bad decision. But instead it was, oh no, I knew it was him and I made a bad call. No, stop passive aggressively blaming somebody else for your pick.
Yeah, it never works out. I mean, I'm trying to remember times where it was the opposite, where a player bashed the coach. And the only thing I can think of was Tiki Barber when he bashed his coach in the Giants, and that's he retired and talked. And then what happened a few years later? Oh, he wanted to come back and play. He didn't make the team. It was a shell of his former self. Just learn. You don't burn bridges. You don't do things like that. It just doesn't make any sense. And if you've worked in any type of business, any type of corporate structure, you all know that just be cool with it. Don't burn the bridges. And for him to do something like this is pretty stupid, pretty idiotic. I'm surprised that your boy went ahead and did something like this.
And again, Jason Light, I still trust. Just, I guess we all have our bad days. Florida Man's football, streaming on all major platforms. Jonny Cinco, let's pivot to our Miami Dolphins, where it's been a little interesting. Number one, another person is injured.
I feel so bad for them.
Another person is injured. What else is new? Another week, another injury. But furthermore, now they practice with the Lions and have a terrible, terrible practice. So this is like a two-part question in a way. Number one, are you ready to wave the white flag with all the injuries in Miami and all the expectations? I know that it's hold on. That's the first part. And the second part is do you agree with other teams practicing like this? Because now the narrative is they're just terrible practice with the Lions, so therefore they're a terrible team. Do you agree with all that, or should teams practice within themselves? Are you okay with them practicing with other teams?
I never understood why two teams will practice together, and I get you can gain like a scrimmage. I coach kids baseball, so every now and then I'll have a scrimmage set up in practice. But these aren't teams that these are not teams we're going to play in the regular season. Why show a team your hand? Why show them any type of scheme? They're going to remember these things here. These are schemes you're going to potentially use against them. So I don't know. I've forgotten the schedule if they're playing the Lions this year or not. I don't think they are. But regardless, it doesn't matter. You're giving them some insight, and then and then you're going to go ahead and have that practice, that scrimmage, if you will, and widely regarded as the worst practice in the history of this format. So we're looking at it towards like they look so lost. Tua, when he's out there, everything I was reading is like he's fine. It's just without Tua, this offense does not function at all. And even with Tua, it's still a mess. The defense, with the injuries they're having, I mean, this offense is going to have to put up 60 points to go ahead.
Well, that leads to the other part of the question, Johnny Cinco. Am I waving the white flag too early for the Dolphins? I mean, so many injuries, right? Tua can't do it all. He's got to stay healthy, let alone play. But it takes both sides of the ball. Let's be real.
A couple things I've come to light for me over the last week here, and you guys know where I stand. I've talked about it a little bit here and there, regardless of how I think of where Jacksonville's going to land, where Miami's going to land, where Tampa's going to land. So you can only, my list is fluid. As I came up with, it's always fluid. Nobody else says that.
Like a lot of things.
Nobody else says that
in his life.
So you're looking at certain things there in place, and looking at Miami, it's too early to go ahead and sit here and say that they're done. But I honestly can't sit here and really think that this team, with injury after injury in the defense, and when they're already thin as it is, can expect a successful season. So I'm looking at it more. I'm like, dude, and I big fan of Tua. Have been since Alabama.
So let's dig a little deeper, because you and I are on the same page here at Florida Man Football. So we both agree that, unfortunately, we're kind of waving the white flag a little early. Prove us wrong, Miami, that maybe now is the time to move Tyreek Hill then, right? I don't want to jump the gun here, but maybe it is, right? If we're not making the playoffs, we're not making the playoffs, right? I think we're on agreement here.
Well, I heard it said, they should have went and got rid of him. They could have got a little bit more for him previously. They're still going to be able to, I think, because Tyreek is still an elite. He's obviously over 30, but he's still an elite wide receiver. So they should have, but I still think, because McDaniels knows that this is it. No matter what happens, whatever excuse happens here, if there's not success this season, he's done. So there's no way he's going to allow for them to trade Hill. He's going to try everything he can with this team, but I think we both know, Chris.
Unless the Miami Dolphins, Johnny, do what the Buffalo Bills did last year, if you remember, they had nobody. They had nobody, and then this guy Allen just puts everything on his back and just carries the team. Unless that happens, I don't see Miami doing that.
Tua has to have an MVP type year for Miami to have any success.
I kind of brought up Hill, Johnny, is because when you look at it from a fantasy football perspective, and I know next week, by the way, early drop is our fantasy football episode, but from a fantasy perspective, I'm very, very high. I will let that out on Tyreek Hill. I am.
Okay.
I'm very high
for you.
No. I'm very high on him. And so regardless of the fact that they may not have the best season possible, I'm so high on him. So I guess when I was asking earlier, should we talk about trading him now, is, man, and maybe they do have a run like the Bills did last season, where against all odds, against all injuries, they do something that's great. Maybe I want to see that, but I'm a pessimist, I guess, at this point. I don't see that happening.
No,
maybe it is time to trade
the Bills. We thought, and everybody thought, that the window was closed, but they ultimately, their defense was not decimated to this extent where Miami is, and they continue to lose more and more. So offense is key. I still believe that in the NFL, but you just can't have a ranked 29-30 defense and still think you're going to do something with that, especially playing in the same division as the Bills. So you're going to go ahead and say that and be like, all right, well, you need to go figure it. I'm like, dude, you guys, I'm hoping, but let's put hope to the side, because hoping is not really a plan. Hoping is that you don't look at stats, look at certain things, look at injuries and just hope. From what I'm looking at, no, the Dolphins are not going to do anything this year. So let's just go ahead and just call it for what it is. They're not. Another thing, Chris, I had to really look at everything, and man, I'm annoyed. I'm gonna say this because over the last week, I took a hard look at Tampa Bay, and looking at certain things. I still stand by my previous comments, still stand by a couple of different things. There are a couple of people I respect that know football, made some comments referencing Tampa Bay, how to take a closer look at them.
Was his name Christian? The guy
No. It's just the great, John Gruden. And looking at a couple of different things. And I'm like, listen, and part of it is because, I hate you with all my heart. And so I just kind of like, did my hate kind of got a little bit, I couldn't agree with you with a couple of things here but Tampa is going to be a sneaky good team this year. Now,
I hate you so much.
I
hate you so much.
Obviously, it's going to come down to something that I think you bring it up because that's like you always like to have a little bit of a scapegoat thing going on there. Oh, if we're injuries.
Yeah, because like Miami right now, injuries impact you, and then we have to pivot to what the reality is.
There's only one injury I'm concerned about. It's Baker Mayfield.
No.
So if Baker Mayfield stays healthy, which there's no reason to think otherwise here, then I think this team is going to do very well.
Last year, Baker was healthy, Johnny Cinco. And
I'm not talking about last. Thank you.
And our defense was decimated.
Congratulations.
And because of that, now Baker Mayfield is the priority this year.
Yes, this year. Obviously, there's other priorities. I'm still annoyed at how Tampa drafted.
Anyways, you were about to give me my flowers. Continue.
No, I'm not giving you your flowers. I already gave you your pedal, and it was kind of like, all right, this is what it is here. That at Tampa, and part of it is because like I told you, like I hate you. So it's kind of like hating you is kind of like, I didn't want to see here. But Tampa is surprisingly looking at their practice, look at what they've done so far. Now, you're still hoping. Same way I'd look at Miami and be like, stop fooling myself. These injuries, everything that's happening, they're on thin ice as it is. Yes, can they pull a Buffalo Bill, Josh Allen situations like you referenced?
That's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be the only thing that is going to help, because short of that, and again, if you are just tuning in right now to Florida Man Football, listen, man, I love the Dolphins. We do, and I commended you for the cap situation, how you handled it, commended you for the draft, commended you for everything, but you are just decimated with injuries, and at this point, I don't know that Tua is Allen and can carry this team. Although I think Hill's going to have a very good year. I know, guys, it's convoluted, but guess what? It's week one of the preseason. It is what it is. Deal with it.
I think ultimately the only way Miami has success is if Tua has a Josh Allen type season, MVP type season. So maybe not win the MVP, but he has to be in that conversation.
Keep him in the game.
So that's it. But if I'm thinking that this quarterback has to win the MVP or be in that conversation, then I have to go and be like, well, they're going to fall, because the chances of that happening are not high. So I'm not going to sit here and bet on a Miami team that depends on their quarterback being a top 3 this year. So I'm like, you know what? So Miami's falling off. And I have to look the same thing with Tampa and be like, Tampa, with the moves they made, the players, the things that I didn't like the Reddick move on certain things, but things are kind of working out the way that they hope. So as much as we dog Jason White,
you're kind of pivoting back to the Bucs, but I'm going to stand by what I said a few weeks ago, Johnny. It was what I said a few weeks ago, that at the end of the day, it's about Mayfield, not about him being healthy, because he's shown us he's healthy. It's about keeping the interceptions down. If he gives me 12 or less interceptions this season, that's what I said a couple weeks ago. 12,
I know.
12 or less interceptions, and we're going to be in a very good spot. So thank you for giving me my pedal, because I was right.
No,
and you were wrong.
You said the most common sense thing that's ever. As long as I said the same thing. Like, he has to keep his interceptions in single digits. So 9 is where 100%. I said that. We had this conversation.
I dare you to tune into previous episodes and find out who was right.
Yeah, please do that. You should do that. So, yes. So I'm looking at Tampa, and the stock went up. Looking at Miami, stock went down. What about Jacksonville?
Hey, I love that. So, it's very early reaction, Johnny Cinco, because we're talking about after week 1, right? This week coming up now, week 2, tuning in. And let's get some early reaction with the Jaguars on week 1, specifically with Travis Hunter. Okay. You got to see him play both sides of the ball. Early reaction, thoughts. Where should he be after this for week 2?
I've always seen him as a corner first, receiver second. Jacksonville's going the opposite. For whatever reason, they're going the opposite. Now, I referenced last episode that it's a money move. It's just when it comes down to contract extension, you want to be listed as a wide receiver first, because obviously wide receivers get paid more than corners. That's my only guess as to why he's forcing this. I don't know if he is. That's just me just speculating. But, I expect I expect 2 interceptions from him on the corner position. And if he's going to go ahead and be a primary, I don't know how many downs he's going to be playing offensively here, but I'm hoping for 600 yards receiving from him. So we shall see, Chris. From what I've seen, It's not enough for me to go ahead and comment on it yet, Chris.
Well, let me. That's fine. Well, I'm going to comment on it because you know what? Early reaction is this. Number one, I'm going to give the guy his flowers when it's due. It was impressive to see him play at an NFL level with NFL talent. He definitely looked the part. That's the good news. He looks the part.
As a Heisman winner should.
I agree with you completely. Well, because in preseason he kind of looked a little flimsy and whatnot. But I agree with you from a standpoint when you look at him. He's a DB, guys. He's a DB. See, put him in the back. I'm seriously like that's where he should be primarily. And I think that if they continue to do this dual role, I don't think it's going to help Travis Hunter. I think that if it's going to be 80-20, it should be on defense, not on offense. And I don't care about this money thing that you're talking about. I could care less about that. I want the success for Travis Hunter, for him to have a successful career. And to do that, in my humble opinion, my early reaction is, Johnny, he needs to be 80-20, but on defense. And he looked really good.
Yeah, he should do that. I just don't see it happening. One is because of the needs. Because while they need a DB and a wide receiver, we both know they need a receiver more than a DB. We saw what happened. That the players they picked up just wasn't really working out. They're figuring things out here. Obviously, they hit a home run with their wide receiver pick year before, but they need a number 2 man. They need some here. It didn't work out with Kirk. They went ahead and got rid of him. He's gone there. It didn't work out
it's
with
really scary.
Ye Davis.
It's really scary what they're doing. If they're depending on him to be a wide receiver 1.
That's what's happening. Not wide receiver 1. They have a wide receiver 1.
No, they do in Thomas Jr., but there's 3 wide receiver spread that they're starting, so he's a wide receiver 1. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's very scary. If that's what if you're right and that's what they're leaning on, I'm sorry, but I don't see the Jaguars having a success. We're talking about the Bucs being, they're high, and you're talking about the Dolphins being low. If what you're saying is true, Johnny, then for me the Jaguars they're trending down. They're not trending up.
No, they're
after week 1 of the preseason.
They're swinging for the fences. They're trying to figure it out here. At the end of the day, they picked this kid up to be a dual threat. He hasn't been a dual threat, obviously since Hester, I think. And Hester was a return man, but then it becoming like, no, he was going to go ahead and play both sides and figure things out. So he played some receiver position there. But no, I think that Hunter is going to show up and perform. He doesn't have to perform to the level of, something ridiculous. Some people have speculated 1,200 yards. Like, that's ridiculous. As a receiver, you've got to be kidding me.
No.
For me, it's half of that. If you give me 600 yards receiving.
600 plus. 600
yes,
plus,
of course. I'm saying the minimum there. 600 yards receiving. You go ahead and give me a couple interceptions on the opposite side there. That's a successful
I would agree with you.
season
I would
for
agree
me.
with you. I never agree with you, but I would agree with you on that.
So if he does that, Jacksonville, and assuming that Trevor Lawrence is going to be healthy and he's going to live up to that number 1 overall pick, live up to the contract, live up to the guy that we saw in Clemson, then Jacksonville was going to make the playoffs and have a successful season.
Before we talk about the NFL, around the NFL, I should say, Jenny Single, last thing I want to say on the topic is what I don't want to see, you're talking about 600 yards, 2 interceptions, right? Okay. What I don't want to see and what I would hate to see is, and it's, I hate because I feel like when I say this, I'm going to be right, but seeing him, no. Like, season happens,
so humble,
right? Is that seeing him get burned on routes, seeing the frustrations, seeing Jaguars lose games, and because when that happens, if that happens, guys, then what happens then? Then number 1, you're not getting the best out of your pick that you traded up to get, of your first rounder, right? You're not getting the best out of Travis Hunter, and so I hope and I pray you're going to go through growing pains. That's normal, but I hope and pray that the coaches are smart enough to pivot, is what I'm trying to get at, pivot and put him where he needs to be, because my early reaction right now is he should not be a wide receiver 1.
The thing is that like guys like you, they're going to see something. They're going to have growing pains. So no matter who you were, whether you were Ed Reed, Deion Sanders, when you were a rookie, you got burned on some routes. You had certain things happen in there. If you're a wide receiver, you messed up your own route running. You messed up certain things. You're just starting out. You're going to go through your growing pains. So I can see it and be like, okay, the point is that for me, you can't have fans.
That could hurt a kid, man.
Of course. Kids who don't have weak mentality.
How many times have we talked about quarterbacks that get put in the bad system? How many times have we talked about that? Yeah. Rookie quarterbacks that get put in a bad system. Yes. Okay, think about that.
Because you know what? That happens every Sunday. So every Sunday.
Think about this for a guy who you're asking to play a dual role. That's all I'm saying.
It's difficult. But the guy thrived in a dual role environment in Colorado. He won the Heisman Trophy because of it. So am I expecting exact results in NFL? That's ridiculous. But at some point in his NFL career, whether it's year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Yes, that's what everybody's expecting. They're expecting to go ahead and show up. Now, it's actually a learning curve. There's certain things in place he's going to have to figure out. But year one, that's why 600 yards receiving up to a couple of picks. I'm like, all right, you're good. That's my expectations for you. That's not the highest, but that's kind of like, all right, you're going to go ahead and
Minimum.
and do what we expect you to do. And that's what it is. If anything more than that, it's just gravy. So no, I don't expect something ridiculous like some people do. There's some people that on our chats, they talk about, and they were super high on him. And I get it. I'm high on him too, but I'm not to the point to where I'm like, oh, this guy's, basically there's some morons. I think this guy's going to win the MVP his rookie year or something. It's just stupidity at its finest. But no, Travis Hunter is going to be just fine. It's just set the expectations where they deserve to be set, and I think we set them pretty low.
Excited to see what our Florida teams are going to do this week, week 2 of the preseason. Johnny Cinco, before we talk about college football, put a bow on this episode, let's talk a little bit about the NFL, specifically with Parsons. We got to talk about it, right? We can't have an episode at this point without talking about the situation in Dallas.
We're going to talk about the trash, the Cowboys.
Well, the guy, I mean, let's call it for what it is, right? The guy write a letter. He wrote a letter and basically saying to trade me. Initial reaction is one thing, but the other thing is this. Why are the Cowboys worth, like the thing kind of, they came out the poll just the other day where they're the number 1 team in the NFL. They're worth the most money. So how is a franchise that hasn't won a Super Bowl since the 90s so prevalently going through the drama that they're going through with people like Parsons and is still the most valued team in the NFL? I know it's like 3 different questions here, but how do we get to this point?
I understand it. It
doesn't make sense to me. How do we get to this point?
No, if you understand business, it's ingenious marketing. So Jerry Jones is arguably, I wouldn't say the worst owner in the NFL, because the worst owner in the NFL for me is the Bengals owner. But there's a couple others I can talk about. But Jerry Jones, he is a marketing genius, a horrible GM. The Cowboys would be much better served if he was the owner and does the marketing and handles things the way he's done in genius level over the last 30 years, but allows someone else to go ahead and pick the players. But he bought this. He's talked about this. He's like, no, I bought a team to give my family a job. Basically to work. He bought this team to be a GM. And you have the right to do so, but man, at some point you got to be like, all right, you know what? I've tried. Give it a 10-year run. He won a couple Super Bowls. Really, he took credit for it here. Gave his boy, his college roommate, Jimmy Johnson, like 0 credit until later on. Then figured it out that Jimmy Johnson won, the Barry Switzer won with that team. So we know what happened in the 90s with the Cowboys.
But that's what I'm saying, right? The question is how are they worth the most out of all NFL teams when, from a prestigious standpoint, they haven't won any championships, and while they right now, other than the Bengals, I should say, have problems signing their top tier talent. Like it's an honest question as to why they're rallied. Is it because they're in the state of Texas? Is it because people still
have a problem
drink the Kool-Aid when it comes to the greatest team in America? I mean, I don't.
It's
seriously,
it's the same way a lot of guys are, fans of the New York Yankees. They're looking. No, it's just obviously there's success there. So you have success. So you have a generation that sees. So the 90s, success. So you have a generation that saw that. Nobody's ever, plenty of people who've never even been to state of Texas or Dallas Cowboys fans. Same thing with the Yankees. And so it's like these specific teams to where you're not necessarily from, but you grew up watching, rooting for. Chicago Bulls. Certain things like that. Plenty of people have done that. So marketing, Jerry Jones took it and ran with it. Obviously in the 70s, they were a powerhouse. They have, I think, 5 Super Bowl wins. So they're second to the Patriots and the Steelers. So they're there. They're in the mix. They're one of the elite franchises ever in the National Football League. I mean, they haven't done anything of substance over the last 30 years purely because Jerry Jones is a terrible GM.
And so back to finish this Cowboys rant that we're on here, when it comes to Parsons, this is all just a PR thing. He's going to end up getting paid and be a Cowboy, or do you actually see a team calling, picking up the phone and saying, hey, would you take a second and a third?
I understand his frustration. At the end of the day, he's sitting there. He's the heart and soul of this team. He's the reason this team was as good as they were. So he sees Dak get paid again. He sees CeeDee Lamb get paid, and he's kind of like, what the? I don't understand how they pay CeeDee Lamb before they pay Micah Parsons. I would have went ahead. CeeDee Lamb, I get it. He's good, but I'm like, Micah's much more valuable to this franchise than CeeDee Lamb is. So for him, he's kind of like, I'm not playing my last year in my rookie contract without getting something done. I've seen you pay these other guys. Go ahead and pay me.
The last thing I'm going to say about the them boys is, as much as I've been dogging them, as much as why I can't understand how they're still like the number one team financially and how this is all whatever.
Who should be?
I'm gonna.
Who do you think should be?
I'll answer that, but I'm gonna say this just because I want to make sure. I never waver, folks. Florida man football. I still have the Cowboys making the playoffs this year.
You've lost your mind.
I still have the Cowboys. Listen, I have
You're
the
so
Cowboys.
angry over the Commanders beating the Bucs in the
I
playoffs.
have
You're
the
like,
Cowboys
no.
making the playoffs this
No.
year. You heard it here first. I didn't say they were going to win a Super Bowl, but they are going to be making the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
But go ahead, what was the question? What was the question you asked?
So if you don't think the Cowboys should be number one in terms of value in the NFL, so who should?
Well, if you go by championships and by
It's not just by championships, but who?
Can I finish, Medea?
I'm giving you more time.
Look. If you go by championships, and the reason why I say championships, I mean like tickets sold, a fan base,
Okay,
people that are young that believe in your team because you've won championships. It would be the New England Patriots but if you're going by that, right?
Yes.
That's what you would go to.
Correct.
Right.
Because
and
the New England Patriots are the real America's
if
team.
you go. See, I didn't go that far. I'm just being honest and saying, because you're asking a question, I'm answering it honestly. And then short of that, Johnny, if you take away all the championships and all that, and you're just talking about football and consistency and always being a playoff team and always being relevant, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't even like the Steelers, but that like I could see teams like that being worth more money.
Yeah, the top two
at this point than the Dallas Cowboys.
The thing is,
so it does. I'm like, damn, like they're really like the most expensive team out there.
The only reason I do agree with you with the Patriots, the only
saying?
reason I see the Patriots ahead of the Steelers is because if you think about it's the value. So real estate, you're talking about New England real estate over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, the only thing that gets the city of Pittsburgh is sports. Sports, it's not really, obviously it's built on the steel workers, everything else there, but it's a blue collar town. So I understand all that, but in terms of value of the real estate, everything that's in place. So that's why New England comes up.
And the last thing I'll say about it too, for the Kansas City Chiefs fans, I didn't forget about you guys. Had you have won,
I forgot about you.
Had you have won the Super Bowl last year, I would have put you in the top 3, because then it goes back to the whole championships and young kids and all that following you. and you being worth more money.
Maybe,
but that's why you didn't make the top 3 for me. I forget about you.
I agree. I don't think I would put them in top 3 either. I think if they would have won it, then in about 10 years from now, we can discuss or during this generation, this or anything else, the values increase for Kansas City and
they're still building the value, right? No, I got you.
The Patriots were the Jacksonville Jaguars, of the 80s and early 90s. It was just something to where they weren't winning anything, doing things. Yes, they faced the 85 Bears and got stomped on, but they still were not a very good team, expansion team, and then they were the Boston Patriots, and they became something. It wasn't really until Parcells, Drew Bledsoe came in the mix that really changed everything for the New England Patriots. Got us a Super Bowl, which we lost, and then obviously we know the story with Tom Brady. So I get all that. So I agree that really I think the most valued team should be the New England Patriots. But
while we get Johnny Cinco here, a bib to take care of his mouth, Florida Man Football, streaming on major platforms. Before we go over college football, Johnny Cinco, I do want to mention before you take over here that we are going to be having our fantasy football episode next week. So if you are tuning in at this point and you're still listening, thank you so much. Next week, it's all fantasy football. You're not going to want to miss out.
That's true. But at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to that fantasy. You're good there, good to that fantasy episode here. That's something you do not want to miss. Obviously, we're going to go ahead and break down. I'm a little annoyed we're going to have the fantasy episode because we'll obviously compete with each other. Part of me want to be like, I don't want to be in the fantasy league with you.
I'm the returning champion.
You're not the returning champion.
I am the returning champion.
You're not. You can't say the returning champion when you won 2 years ago. Well, of course.
Okay, if somebody splits pot,
that's irrelevant.
Then there's no champion. So therefore, you have to go back to the previous year who won championship, which was me. If you think I'm wrong, comment, say something I'm wrong, tell me.
If
you split pot, then you didn't really win. You're basically saying I'm a coward and I don't know who's going to win, so let's split the pot. So who's the champion? The previous year.
Yes. Well, there's some, pussification involved. I understand all that. That's fine. That's something that they're going to go ahead and handle on that. That's regarding money. But still, you did not win last year, sir, because somebody that I'm aware of.
This trophy says I did.
Somebody traded Barkley on his team. That's unnamed person that's sitting to my right.
I had a lot of fun last year.
Traded Barkley.
I had a lot of fun last year.
And did not win.
So
I don't want to hear your nonsense here. But
tune in next week. It's going to be fun.
Let's go ahead and quickly, before we close the show, speak a little bit about college football, because in Florida Man Football, we discussed a couple of things. Our Florida teams here. The top 25 preseason came out. Preseason polls came out. So we see who the top 25 is in college football. Number 10, University of Miami. Number 15, the University of Florida. FSU and UCF unranked, Chris. Any surprises there? Any? I mean, we talked about where we see them at the end of the season. We're vastly different on when we see them. Yeah. But seeing that top 25, Chris, anything you would adjust or change on that?
Not necessarily. No, that I wouldn't necessarily change. But
Texas being the number one overall pick as well.
But at the end of the day, well, I have them going into my Final Four, so I totally expect that. It's totally normal for me. But no, at the end of the day, I see it normal, except for the fact that there is not going to be one team in Florida that is going to make any kind of championship or any kind of playoff push. They're not even going to make the playoffs. So short of that, nothing else surprises me. I am surprised that Miami's top 10.
I'm not surprised Miami's top 10.
I'm going to stand by what I said a few weeks ago.
Listen, I think Miami has a good shot to be undefeated this year. I think they have a couple of games. I'm so looking forward, like most of us, looking forward to week 1. So many epic games, including Miami jumping in there and with an epic week 1 game against Notre Dame. So there's certain things in place that I'm looking forward to. We shall see how things kind of pan out. But
it's a starting point, and I guess if this is Florida Man football, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not just trying to poop all over our Florida college teams. But you know what? I am happy that at least one of our Florida teams is ranked in the top 10. I just don't think it's going to lead to playoff.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
It's just ridiculous. So Miami, I think if they have somewhat of a disappointment that they had last year, I see maybe losing 2 games, which still will get them in that 12-team playoff, I believe. So we'll see what happens with that, even though I still feel that they have a real good chance of going undefeated. University of Florida, it's simple. It's all about Lagway. It's going to come down to that. I'm not as high on him as a lot of guys. DJ Lagway, everybody's talking about how this guy's so elite. Hey, he may very well be. He's not Tim Tebow. So the fact that he's coming in here and there's such high expectations, I don't have faith in this coach. I don't have faith in, I've seen enough from that system, so we shall see. I don't see them being any better than maybe 2 or 3 games over 500. But if DJ Lagway goes ahead and shows up and does what a lot of people expect him to, then obviously they're being ranked 15 preseason. There's some legs on that makes a little sense. I don't see it, but University of Miami, look out for them this particular year, Chris. But speaking of, Tim Tebow bringing them up, Chris, the top, the first team All-American all-time team was released recently here with your boy Tim Tebow being the quarterback for the first team All-American all-time team. I'll go over a couple different players offensively. Wide receiver Randy Moss.
I agree.
Larry Fitzgerald.
I agree.
Tackles Orlando Pace.
I agree.
Bill Fraley. You have the guards of John Hanna from Alabama in 1972. I know you know exactly about him.
I know. Listen, I know all about him. Bama.
Sure.
Bama.
Now, tight end, surprisingly, all-time here is your Brock. Brock out of Georgia here. So he's all-time. He's the guy there for that all-time team. Brock Bowers from Georgia, of course, like I referenced. You have defensively, you have Deion Sanders. You had Ed Reed. Safeties, Ronnie Lott. Cornerback Charles Woodson and Dion, like I referenced here, Dick Butkus. So
Charles Woodson's crazy, man. The amount of success he had at college and in the NFL, that's insane.
But ultimately, the question I want to ask you here is that, your boy Tim Tebow is the guy, the top college quarterback, first team all time here. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I love Tebow, and we do have one fan that is probably still listening right now. Please don't shut me off. I know you're a big Tebow fan. He asked questions about Tebow last episode, so I apologize. But to sit here and say that Tebow, in my humble opinion, is the best college quarterback all time, and my first question, Johnny, is who made this, right? The all time team, who created it? Who were the people voting? Where did they get their context from to do that? That's my first question. Do you know? If you don't know, it's okay. I'm not trying to.
No, I think it's the Athletic, the same way that's referenced that you kind of broke there, but I'll double check that for you.
So to see, because that's my first question of who it is and who convoluted this to come up to this conclusion. Because
I got the list from off ESPN.
Because no, I know, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, how did they come up to that decision? Because ultimately, don't take anything away from Tim Tebow. He is one of the greatest college football players that ever lived and ever walked, and I wish he would have had a better career in the NFL. With that being said, to sit here and say that he's number one overall, I'm sorry, I disagree. There's so many other college quarterbacks out there that have had a better, holistically, have had a better college career overall. There's the fact that I can compare, and this is I know you're not going to like this one, but Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton had 1 year, and I would put that 1 year over any of Tim Tebow's years alone. And if I'm willing to do that, then that doesn't make Tim Tebow number one in my book.
You're completely insane.
Okay? You can say whatever you want. You could say whatever you want. That's the fact. That's the reality. You know,
Cam Newton had an amazing year. I'll give you that.
He had 1 year, and had it been more than
1 year,
yeah, exactly,
1 year,
exactly. But if that 1 year I put it against Tebow's, that's my point. You've got the Matt Leinerts of the world, right? That as far as college career, that had long college careers. So Joe Burrow, I mean, had an amazing college career. He's up there. So. No, I'm sorry.
Here's the problem.
He's not my all-time number one quarterback.
Here's the problem with the nonsense that came out of your mouth.
I'm just speaking facts.
You're not speaking facts. You're speaking nonsense because you referenced two guys that had one elite year.
Okay, hold on. Time out. We're talking about just college career.
Of course, college.
Vince Young, Texas.
1 year.
Amazing career.
Amazing career. Amazing game against USC.
Amazing career.
Season. One great season. You reference here, your boy Cam. One great season. How many
championships did Tebow win?
Tebow won 2 championships.
How many championships was he really responsible for?
He won 2 championships.
How many championships was he responsible for? One good year.
Anyway, I love what you say. Tim Tebow, who
and I'm a Tim Tebow fan.
Obviously, I can tell.
I am.
I am not a huge Tim Tebow fan, but looking at he in that position led college all time in touchdowns. You're the quarterback position. He would rush it in or throw it in. He led the college in touchdowns. So you're that guy. You led your team to 2 championships. Would have been 3, but he lost the SEC championship.
Would have, should have. Let's make him number 1.
But it could have been 3, but lost the SEC championship to Alabama.
You know what? I figured it out. You're one of the people that were voting. You're one of the people that voted for the Athletic.
Particular, and that was back in the day before it was like the AP went ahead and ranked you. Now in these days, you can lose the SEC championship, still make it into the playoffs and win it. Look what happened to Ohio State. Ohio State loses the Big Ten championship to Michigan. Nobody saw it happen. Still got into the playoffs and win the national championship. So it's just amazing. You kind of see how things are. So I'm like, all right, back in the day where it was so much more difficult to win a national championship, you need the AP coaches poll to go ahead and vote you 1 or 2. And then you go, if you lose your conference championship, you are done. It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, you can be undefeated like Georgia was and then lose to Alabama in the FCC championship. Guess what? You're done. Sorry, buddy. Sayonara. Better luck next season. Now they make things a little easier for college, 12-team playoff. We know how it's going to work out here. But no, Tim Tebow. If you look, listen, I grew up loving
Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is one of the greatest college quarterbacks that ever lived, but he's not number 1.
Is the greatest. Listen, I'm a huge Ken Dorsey fan.
I'm not going to let a poll from the Athletic tell me otherwise.
Tell me who's better.
Okay. I just gave you Burrow.
Burrow had 1 good season.
Doesn't matter.
He had 1 good season, 1 championship.
If you want to be more specific, I mean, Luck had a great season at Stanford. He had a great career.
Oh, my God. No championships.
Andrew Luck had a great career, college career.
No championships.
Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. I know that people don't like because of the Browns.
That was all hype. It was all hyped. He hyped up. He brought A&M up to something. No.
He won a Heisman. He had a great college career. It's so funny how you disregard a Heisman, but when Tebow got a Heisman, oh, my God, it's the end of the world.
Tebow got a Heisman and multiple championships.
Bottom line, no, he got 1.5.
2 championships.
1.5. People don't forget.
I believe it was 2006, 2008, but okay, sure.
People don't forget.
Sure.
Nice
try.
And bottom line, he won 1 championship. He did win a Heisman, and that was in 1 year. 1 year. I love how your argument is all based on, well, he would have had another one if when you say things like that, you lose all the list. You're done. Your argument is done. When you say things like that, your argument is done. You're only basing it on 1 season.
He won.
So you got to consider Luck. You got to consider Burrow. You got to consider all these quarterbacks, and I'm telling you right now.
You consider them, and then you see Tebow's better.
Tebow is in the top 5. Because I'm going to keep it real.
So you still see your number 1 guy is Burrow?
Probably Luck. Luck. I probably go with Luck. Andrew Luck.
I need to stop recording this right now. Luck who retired early, was an amazing out at Stanford.
College football. We're talking college football.
Yeah, he was an amazing professional.
Not retired early in the Colts. No, we're talking about college
he was
football,
amazing.
Stanford.
He was a better professional quarterback than he was in college.
But he had an excellent.
Did he beat USC to do anything? No, he didn't.
Listen.
So don't sit here and tell me like Tebow went ahead in the SEC, the most difficult division of football, and dominated.
I hope that you're enjoying Florida man football where his feelings get hurt. Where his feelings get hurt, and I just speak facts.
No, I grew up there, and for me, I'm a bigger Ken Dorsey fan, watching it from the University of Miami, looking at that. Even Charlie Ward, FSU Heisman winner, went ahead and did amazing things, and this skips the NFL, goes to the NBA, plays for the Knicks. There's so many different Florida quarterbacks. Matt Leinart was a freaking man. Carson Palmer was the man. There's so many college quarterbacks
and
that
Tim
were
Tebow was in the top
amazing.
5. Congratulations.
Was amazing. Tim Tebow's better than all of them. You've just referenced their college career.
Nope.
Like to sit here and say and just besmirch the name of the great Tim Tebow, should be ashamed of yourself, Chris.
He wasn't the most accurate passer. He wasn't the most prolific passer.
You know what he was, Chris?
Yeah, he
was a winner.
He was a second and goal.
He was a
second
winner.
And goal, run for a touchdown.
Winner.
And again, I feel so bad. The thing about these polls, I'll leave it with this, Johnny. The thing about these polls that pisses me off is that I genuinely like Tim Tebow. I love Tim Tebow.
I can tell.
No. I love Tim Tebow, but when stuff comes out like this, then I have to correct the situation and speak the truth. And so I'm going to do that. Oh yeah, and I'm going to do that. He 100%. He was a prolific quarterback. He was a prolific quarterback, but he's not number one.
No, I think you're mixing your NFL thoughts with these quarterbacks.
Absolutely not. Matt Leinart? Really? Sure. Matt Leinart?
Really? You reference it, but you're over here like, oh, you're referencing your Burrow, Andrew Luck. I'm like, no.
No, Andrew Luck had an amazing college career. Amazing college career. Are you kidding me?
Nobody's saying he didn't. That's why he got drafted number 1 overall. Yeah. But to sit here and say that he had a better college career than Tim Tebow, is insane. That he's your number one guy.
Holding the jockstrap, and
so insane.
We're going a little further, but you keep holding the jockstrap of the 2 championships when it really was 1.5, and the fact of the what if year, if he would have done that, he would have won another championship.
Sure.
You keep holding on to that and stop focusing on the stats, on the actual stats that matter when it comes to football. And as a quarterback to quarterback, Stafford was the better quarterback. Bottom line.
So did Tebow had more touchdowns than Stafford? Now you said? Who you say right now? You said Stafford? Right now.
Yeah.
So and Stafford in Georgia playing in the SEC did nothing to help them win a national championship. But still,
your idiocracy messed me up. I didn't mean Stafford. I meant freaking Luck.
Okay, so Luck. They're fine.
Stanford.
So even with Luck, you can't sit here and say that when you didn't lead your team to any national championships.
He set records.
So, no, who set records was Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow in that position is number 1 in the national NCAA in touchdowns. So your team, you're going to go ahead and you're going to win 98% of all your games. You're going to go ahead and lead your team to touchdowns. Your job as a quarterback, score points, score touchdowns. You're hating on him. Oh, he ran them in. I'm like, okay, I don't care. Yeah. He ran them in. He threw them in. He did whatever he needed to win games.
Yeah, he won games. He didn't have a very good arm. Sorry.
Oh my God, you're looking at physical attributes. And like I sent you that meme the other day laughing about Anthony Richardson, the NFL, to where it's kind of like, this guy has every tool, rocket arm, has everything else. His only defect is that he doesn't know how to play the position of quarterback. So you're sitting here and trying to analyze and say, well, this guy's a better all-time college quarterback because he has this attribute. He has a really hard, strong arm.
I almost just said Stafford again, but I meant Luck. I almost just said Stafford. Why do I keep wanting to see Stafford?
Ultimately, I applaud. I look over again who came up with the list on that, but it came down to wins, national championships, touchdowns, which matters most points, and Tim Tebow's the top of all those things. So it makes perfect sense for your boy, not your boy, the guy you hate more than anyone, Tim Tebow, to be the number 1 quarterback on the first team All-American all-time.
It's a shame that Jamarcus Russell wasn't in that list.
Jamarcus Russell, yeah. Jamarcus Russell is. I know that you wish that you Tampa went ahead and drafted him there. But we appreciate you guys listening and watching there. I apologize. I have to put you through the nonsense you had to hear. I stand by that.
No, you stand behind
it.
Comment, tell me,
behind it.
tell me, listen, comment short of the Stafford BS, comment, tell me who you would have had in number one. And the fact that I'm the only one here at Florida Man Football that actually questions where this poll even came from and who picked it, that's the real question here. Okay. And then we can, and then we can talk about it after that.
For me, I didn't see specific. I think it's the Athletic, but it came off ESPN that I picked up. There, kind of looking at there. So now I know like ESPN is not a credible source.
If it ain't from Florida Man Football, it ain't true.
Yeah, okay, that's what it is here. So according to Chris, Andrew Luck is the greatest college football quarterback of all time. That's I get it.
Him or Burrow.
That's okay. You're a liberal from, you want to go for that the California team out there. I understand, so it's fine. I stand behind my Florida quarterback, Tim Tebow. We appreciate you guys listening and watching. Please comment how much of a moron Chris is. We all know. We appreciate it.
I'd love to see it.
Later, guys.